Hi, APUS government students. I wanted to take this time to provide you with a little bit of extra help to prepare for exam 7. So there's a number of different things that you're going to have to be able to do on this test. As I looked at it today, it's more of an application of the things that you guys have looked at versus, let's say, for example, obviously I think that we know that religion and religiosity plays more towards the Republican Party. All right. You're probably not going to see a question about that per se to be able to identify it, but you may see a chart or graph like I will show you here in a few minutes that will tie to that demographic and the impact that religion has upon how people vote. All right. First, I really want you to make sure that you do a couple of things. Number one, I want you to go through the review questions that are in your blue packet. So those start on page 104, so make sure that you take a look at those. There's a nice chart. They're in 104. You may see that chart on your test. So go through all of those questions. In addition to that, the GIM kit and the Quizalize are up, so make sure that you do those. I took quite a few of those questions from the test and put those on those two review materials. Specifically, I went back and I wanted to start to get you ready for the final exam we'll be taking here in a few weeks. So I put a couple of review questions on the test that go back to some chapters that we had previously. Now, you may say to yourself, well, gosh, that seems unfair. But I put all of those questions on the GIM kit and the Quizalize. I think like 7 out of the 8 of them are there on the GIM kit and the Quizalize. So I think that going through that, that makes that more than fair for you guys to have success on the multiple choice portion of the test. Let's go ahead and take a look at page 108. Page 108 in your blue packet. Let's go ahead and go to page 108 in your blue packet. Feel free to pause it here for students to get to page 108 to take a look at this. Interesting chart here. And it comes from 2019. And basically what it does is compare and contrast how Republicans and Democrats feel about different issues. All right. So to really understand it, we just really got to take a look at a few examples to really kind of see how Democrats versus Republicans, at least in this poll by Pew Research in 2019, found these different groups felt about these different issues. For example, on page 108, let's take a look at the environment. So you can see the environment there on the right-hand side. If you look at it there, Democrats are in that gray area. So the environment is seemingly important as an issue and their top priority to about, 75% of Democrats? But if you utilize the vertical chart to compare it to Republicans, look at that. It's seemingly, what is that, about 20, 27, 28%, maybe 30 at the highest. So you can see how you can compare and contrast that, the issue of the environment, see how it goes to about 75% for Democrats. But then on the vertical scale, it only barely eclipses the 25%. So you can see that juxtaposition with an issue like the environment. Let's take a look at the second one there, immigration. Immigration, you're going to find there in the black portion there. Find it there. So immigration. Let's start with Republicans. So we can guess, let's say 70? Let's go with 70%. So seemingly that's a top priority for about, 70%. All right, so again, percent who believe the issue should be a top priority, not maybe necessarily the top priority, but a top priority of the top few. In the Republican Party, it's about 70%. Look at that then for Democrats. Doesn't even get to 50%. So probably hovering, let's say, around 40%. Again, I want you to be able to compare and contrast how issues like this seemingly are important to one party, but not nearly as important to another party. I mean, really, you take a look at something like maybe like jobs. Jobs and Social Security seem to be about the two that seem to be pretty darn equal. All right, jobs about 50% for both. Social Security somewhere around 70% for both. All right. So if we take the issue of terrorism, I mean, take a look at that. Terrorism is seemingly a big issue for Republicans. 80%, maybe higher, over 50%, but not nearly as high for Democrats. Look at that. There's a ton of other issues besides terrorism that are higher than 50% for Democrats. Okay, so make sure that you can understand this chart. You're going to see this on either your free response or you may see it on your multiple choice as well. Let's take a look at this chart. Within your multiple choice, you're going to see a number of different charts. I'm going to highlight two more charts to kind of prepare you for what you're going to see on your test. As I talked about at the beginning, and again, this is not any of your review material, so just kind of sit back and listen here for a second, or feel free to take a picture of this slide if you want to. I don't care, that's fine. What you're looking at is trends of religious attendance in the United States from 1972 to 2010. Trends of religious attendance. So take a look at that weekly. It's third from the bottom, second from the top. Look at that weekly, 30.3%. How has that trended? How has that trended since 1972? It's trended downwards. You can see that from roughly about 41% to about 30%. So it's down about 10%. Who then or which party would not like to see that? Republicans, right? Because the more apt you are to go to church, the more apt you are to vote conservatively, vote Republican. So that's something that if you see that on a multiple choice question, you're seeing that application now of you being able to put that two and two together of who that would impact. All right. If we could say, and I'm not necessarily saying that, but if we could say that people that rarely or never went to church were more liberal, if that was a question, you can see how that has risen from roughly about 28, 29% in 1972 to about 43, 44% in 2010. All right, so fewer people are going to church. So be ready for a chart like this and the impact that you could possibly draw from the changes from the 70s to 2010. Let's take a look at one last slide here before we close up shop. And you guys can work on your GIM kit and your Quizalize and your questions in your packet. I got this from the Associated Press and the Wall Street Journal from 2016. I think maybe I got this from AP as well. But basically, what this chart was looking at was the impact of people that voted third party in the 2016 election. People that voted third party in the 2016 election. People that voted Libertarian and people that voted Green Party. It was a larger, I don't know if I could say substantial, but it was a larger number of people that said no to Trump and they said no to Hillary in 2016 and they voted for one of these other third party candidates. And the point of what these three states are trying to show is, had these people voted for Hillary Clinton, would they have made a difference? Would they have given her enough electoral votes to win? So look at that first one there. You can see that Trump's victory in Michigan was about 12,000 votes, about 70,000 votes in Pennsylvania, about 30,000 votes in Wisconsin. All right, and then you can take a look at how many people voted for Stein and Johnson in those states. Pretty healthy numbers there. Look at that in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. So what they were saying is, in this chart, had we taken out 60% of that 223,000 and given those to Hillary Clinton, would she have won Michigan? All right, and the answer is yes. The answer is yes. By a slim margin, you can see that check there. All right. Obviously, then 65 and 70%, they would have also given her the victory as well. Take a look at Pennsylvania. So if 60%, that would have flipped Michigan. 60%, had they voted for Hillary instead of Trump in Pennsylvania, would not have done it. You can see that Trump still would have won 2.99 to 2.96. Would not have flipped it with 65%, but would have flipped it with 70%. Would have flipped it with 70%. All right. Then you can take a look at Wisconsin. If 60% would have voted for Hillary in Wisconsin, you can see that that would have flipped that state as well. All right, so seemingly if I do my electoral college math, her just winning Michigan and Wisconsin, I don't think that would have flipped it for her. But had she won Pennsylvania as well, had she won all three of these states, she would have won the election. All right, so just be ready for seeing this on a multiple choice standpoint and recognizing what they're trying to show you there. Recognize what they're trying to show you there. Okay? All right, other than that, like I said, go through the GIM kit, go through the Quizalize, go through the review questions. Shoot me an email if you have a question about a certain issue. Make sure you go back and take a look at those demographics in terms of like race and the Jewish community and religion and education and those different demographics that we looked at and how they tend to vote. That's going to be important as well for you to take a look at. All right. In addition to, yes, obviously there'll be some stuff about the Electoral College and 270. There won't be a ton on there about campaigns, and there'll be a question or two about Citizens United and super PACs, but not a ton. More so on these things that we talked about here. All right. Good luck on the test. Let me know any way that I can help you.